You don't need a computer science degree to build an AI career in your company. You really just need to know exactly where your team is wasting their time.
Yeah, the whole corporate landscape has genuinely shifted on this issue. It really is an incredible time to be paying attention.
Welcome to today's deep dive. We're exploring a really fascinating blueprint today.
It's a comprehensive guide on building an in-house AI consultant role, basically from the ground up.
Right. And we're exploring this through the lens of a specific tool called Fable 5. We're going to unpack how you identify internal bottlenecks first.
Right. And then we'll look at how you build small automations to actually fix them.
Yeah. We'll talk about measuring their direct impact with hard data. And finally, we'll cover how you formally pitch this brand new role to your boss.
It's just a highly practical roadmap for accelerating your career. I mean, you are essentially creating a job that didn't exist yesterday.
I actually have to make a vulnerable admission right here at the start. I used to wrestle with prompt drift myself.
Oh, really?
Yeah, constantly tweaking those text instructions I was feeding the AI, just to get a consistent result. It was incredibly frustrating.
Oh, I bet.
And behind that frustration was this deep, lingering fear. I honestly thought that to do meaningful AI consulting, you just needed a hardcore technical background.
Well, that fear holds so many brilliant people back.
Yeah.
They just assume they need to be a software engineer to even sit at the table.
But this guide proves how false that assumption really is. That fear of needing a technical background, it completely misses the current reality.
Completely.
It explains why companies are actually pivoting away from external tech agencies right now. They're aggressively favoring internal talent instead.
Yeah, the era of hiring expensive outside agencies is rapidly ending. I mean, companies used to just throw money at them for every small workflow problem.
And a workflow is just a repeated series of steps to finish a task.
Right, exactly. But outside agencies always face this massive learning curve. They have to spend weeks just learning how your specific business operates.
And the AI tools themselves have just become much easier to use,
So companies simply don't need an outside agency to build simple, everyday tools anymore. They need an insider instead. They need someone who already understands the messy reality of how the team actually works.
they need someone who intuitively knows where the precious hours are being lost.
Yeah.
An internal AI consultant fills that exact gap perfectly. It makes me think of a very specific dynamic. It's like having a trusted mechanic to fix your car. But this is a mechanic who already drives your specific car every single day.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
They don't just hear a random noise. They know exactly what that weird rattle is.
Exactly. And because that mechanic drives your car every day, they don't just hear the rattle. They know it only happens when you turn left on a steep hill.
Right.
That deep internal context is just something an outside agency cannot fake.
Aye.
So the role is really about reviewing your current operational habits. You're actively spotting the repetitive, soul-crushing tasks.
And then you strategically decide where Fable 5 can improve the speed of execution. But you absolutely have to do it without introducing new business risks.
That is the crucial balancing act. The job also includes guiding your coworkers through the transition. You help them adopt the new processes without feeling overwhelmed. And you rigorously track the adoption rates, the time saved, and the ultimate business impact.
The guide makes a profound philosophical point about expertise here. The most valuable consultant is not the one who knows everything.
No, definitely not. You do not need to memorize every single hidden feature inside Fable 5.
The real value is entirely rooted in problem selection. You have to build something your busy coworkers will actually want to use.
Yeah, and then you have to prove with data that it made their daily work significantly better.
So if technical mastery isn't the actual priority here, what is the single most important trait of a strong AI consultant in this new landscape?
It is absolutely their ability to choose a practical, grounded problem. It must be a tangible problem that the team feels every day. Like if you solve an annoyance they genuinely hate, they will adopt the solution immediately.
So solving a real problem beats knowing every software feature.
Precisely. Practical application will always defeat theoretical knowledge in the workplace.
Beat. Since understanding these internal problems is the master P, how do we systematically find the perfect first problem to solve? I imagine we can't just guess.
You absolutely cannot guess. You have to audit your current work with ruthless objectivity.
So how do we actually execute an audit that yields useful data?
Well, you start by manually listing the tasks you handle every single day. You list your recurring weekly tasks right next to them. You basically have to get everything out of your head and onto a visible list.
But wait, shouldn't I just immediately try to automate the task I personally hate doing the most? That seems like the most obvious place to start.
It is incredibly tempting, but the guide explicitly warns against that. You cannot just focus on the tasks you emotionally dislike.
Really?
Yeah, because a task you hate might only take 5 minutes a week to complete. Automating it won't move the needle for the business at all. You must actively look for tasks that consume meaningful blocks of time.
And they have to be inherently safe to test on.
Yes, they need to sit firmly in the low-risk category. Good starting points usually involve synthesizing existing information. Writing routine internal reports is a classic example.
Summarizing dense meeting notes is another excellent target.
Exactly.
Doing basic market research or organizing messy inboxes works well, too.
Cleaning up unstructured data is also a phenomenal starting point. You do not need to revolutionize the whole company with your very first project.
You're just choosing one small, isolated workflow to upgrade. And it needs to be incredibly easy to review manually.
And it must yield a clear, measurable result. The source provides a brilliant strategic approach using Fable 5 for this exact phase.
You actually hand the AI your entire raw task list.
Right, you handed the list and ask Fable 5 to play auditor. You basically treat it like an objective third party.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, when you feed Fable 5 your task list, it acts like a heat map. It's looking for tasks that have a high frequency but a low cognitive load.
So you ask it to check exactly how often you perform each task. And you ask how much time each occurrence usually drains from your day.
You also ask the AI to evaluate how repetitive the underlying logic is.
And you must also ask it to aggressively brainstorm what could go wrong. Like, what happens if a machine takes over this specific responsibility?
Right. Based on those parameters, Fable 5 recommends the optimal task to target first. It specifically hunts for tasks that will yield undeniable before and after metrics, results you can easily measure and chart over time.
But how are we defining low risk when we look at these tasks? Because my personal definition of risk might differ completely from my manager's definition.
Low risk simply means the AI's output is effortlessly verifiable. A human can quickly scan the final work and instantly spot a hallucination or factual error. You are never automating a high-stakes financial decision or a sensitive client email on day one.
Low risk means the output is incredibly easy to manually check.
Exactly. You protect your credibility by only automating verifiable work.
2-sec silence.
Mm-mm.
Once we have definitively pinpointed that low-risk task, how do we build the actual working solution? We definitely don't want to overcomplicate the very first version we build.
Right, this is the execution phase. You're building small AI automations and rigorously measuring the results. The source uses a highly detailed case study for this specific phase.
They use weekly content performance reporting as their primary example.
Right. The Fable 5 heat map identifies that as the absolute best place to start. You essentially need a workflow that turns raw, messy data into a clean, simple report.
You want a concise report you can review quickly before hitting send. The guide lists the specific raw inputs Fable 5 requires to make this work.
Yeah, so you feed it the raw Beehive newsletter performance data. You also give it the engagement data from Facebook, LinkedIn, and X.
You provide the week-over-week subscriber growth numbers as well, and you include some brief human notes about the context of what was published.
Now think about why this takes a human so long to do manually. Pulling unstructured data from 5 different software dashboards requires constant context switching.
Oh, absolutely.
A human easily spends an hour just formatting the spreadsheet before they even analyze anything. But Fable 5 reads that unstructured data instantly.
It takes all of that noise and generates a highly specific output. It creates a tightly written weekly performance summary.
It clearly highlights the strongest performing piece of content from the week. It also brutally points out the weakest performing content without any sugarcoating.
It even suggests possible analytical reasons behind those specific fluctuations. And finally, it provides clear, actionable steps for the content team to take next week.
But there's a critical organizational step mentioned right here. You cannot just wing this process every week. You must create a standardized, reusable input template.
You also need a clear step-by-step workflow document for the whole process. You have to create a short, mandatory review checklist for the human checking the final output.
And crucially, you build a simple table for tracking the time spent before and after using Fable 5.
The guide gives a very compelling specific metric as their example. They took a 60-minute reporting process and cut it down to 20 minutes.
Yeah.
That is undeniable mathematical proof of value.
It completely transforms the individual's baseline capacity. But you have to prove it locally before you ever try to scale it globally. You run the workflow once with real data, time yourself, and record the exact difference.
Whoa, beat. Imagine scaling that 40-minute saving across a whole department. It's like stacking Lego blocks of data.
I love that.
It's like building a paved road where there used to be a muddy dirt trail. The initial paving takes some real effort, but every trip after that is exponentially faster for anyone who drives it.
That is a perfect way to visualize the compounding value of this work.
But if the AI is doing all of this heavy analytical lifting, why is the source so adamant about keeping that human review step?
Because AI is phenomenal at organizing data and drafting summaries at lightning speed. But it fundamentally lacks business nuance and political context. A human must look at the data and confirm that it actually makes sense in the real world.
Fable 5 crunches the numbers, but a human must confirm the conclusions.
That is exactly right. Never, ever skip the human review phase.
We'll be right back. Sponsor. Mid-roll sponsor read goes here. And we're back. So saving 40 minutes on a Tuesday afternoon is a really neat trick. But a senior manager needs to see concrete business value to care about this.
Yeah, they need to see how this impacts the bottom line of the department.
How do we translate personal time saved into a language the boss actually speaks and values?
You have to focus entirely on the tangible results. You have to translate the automation into increased capacity or cost savings.
You don't focus on the underlying tool itself.
Right. Please do not pitch the magic of Fable 5 to your busy manager. Pitch the sheer volume of time saved and the tedious manual steps you completely removed.
It's exactly like going to a high-end restaurant. You don't try to sell the customer on the chef's shiny new Japanese knife. You just sell them the delicious meal.
Yes, exactly. The manager only cares about the meal.
Right.
They care about what the new efficiency allows the team to achieve. The source provides specific, tracked test results to illustrate this point beautifully.
The weekly reporting was originally taking 2 full hours and 30 minutes of manual labor.
And the new AI-assisted workflow reduced that exact same task to just 42 minutes.
That is a staggering reduction in manual repetitive labor. During this phase, you meticulously track the manual edits that are still required. You note any subtle changes in speed or output quality over time.
Then you have to neatly package all of this up for others. You put the original prompt, the input template, and the human review checklist together.
You put them into one simple, accessible internal document.
This is so important for adoption. It makes the new workflow incredibly easy for your skeptical coworkers to reuse. They can just follow the steps without constantly asking you to explain it to them again.
Once you achieve genuine consistency with that first task, you take the next step. You move your focus to a larger bottleneck that is actively affecting the wider team.
The guide specifically mentions tackling the research-to-outline pipeline next. That is a massive operational bottleneck that constantly slows down the entire content department.
When building this broader business case, what if we just don't have all the baseline data perfectly measured? Like, what if we forgot to time ourselves last month?
The source has a very strict, uncompromising rule for this scenario. If any baseline information is missing, you must physically label it as missing in brackets on the report. You never ever guess the numbers.
Always label missing information clearly instead of guessing to maintain trust.
Trust is absolutely everything when you're proposing a brand new role. If you guess the numbers and get caught, you lose your credibility instantly and permanently.
2-sec silence. Now that you have an undeniable, meticulously tracked internal business case, how do you actually leverage that specific evidence into a brand new job title?
Well, this is the culmination of the entire process. You are now creating an official, recognized AI consultant role for yourself.
You use the accumulated evidence to draft a formal, undeniable proposal.
The underlying math from the source is incredibly compelling here. For that initial reporting workflow, the first successful test saved 1 hour and 48 minutes per week.
And if that result stays consistent for 4 straight weeks, it projects out to 7 hours and 12 minutes saved per month.
But there is a crucial psychological constraint mentioned in the text here. You must track the workflow quietly for 4 full weeks before pitching it.
You cannot treat that monthly projection as a confirmed result until the month is actually over.
I think we really need to acknowledge how difficult that is. The psychological discipline required to wait a full 4 weeks is immense.
Oh, absolutely.
It's human nature to want to run to your boss the second you have a cool early win, but you have to hold back.
It is incredibly hard to hold back when you see that first flash of success. But that quiet discipline is what builds an airtight, undeniable business case. A manager can dismiss a one-off win, but they cannot dismiss a month of hard data.
Once you have the confirmed multi-week data, you finally write the proposal. The proposal needs a sharp, punchy executive summary at the very top.
You need to confidently suggest a proposed role title for yourself. You must outline the main responsibilities of the role clearly and concisely.
You also need to define a clear, realistic scope for the first 90 days. And you must define highly practical KPIs for the role.
A KPI is just a key performance indicator, a metric tracking how well you hit specific goals.
Right. The proposal must clearly articulate the expected business impact. It needs to address how this role improves productivity, reduces hidden costs, and expands overall team capacity.
The guide also outlines what genuinely makes a strong AI consultant in the long run. It's heavily focused on mindset, not just technical skills.
A truly strong consultant deeply understands how the underlying business actually generates revenue first. They intimately know where the daily work actually slows down and frustrates people.
They know which operational problems actually matter most to the stressed-out team, and they know what kind of new software the team can realistically absorb and adopt.
They also strictly follow company rules around data privacy and digital security. They handle sensitive internal data with extreme paranoid care.
Good judgment and emotional intelligence matter just as much as technical skill in this role.
You shouldn't ever start by automating a risky, highly visible workflow. You never share AI-generated results that haven't been meticulously checked by a human.
Yeah.
And you never waste time building a complex tool that nobody on the team actually wants to use.
Looking at this entire trajectory, what is the ultimate evolutionary goal for this internal AI consultant? Like, where does this career path actually lead?
The goal is to scale your organizational impact progressively. You move from improving small, isolated daily tasks to fundamentally restructuring larger, company-wide business operations.
You grow from fixing minor annoyances to solving massive company-wide bottlenecks.
That is the exact trajectory. You prove undeniable value locally, and then you expand that methodology globally across the entire organization.
Let's pull all of these threads together into our big idea recap.
The main takeaway from this guide is incredibly empowering. You do not need to passively wait for an AI consultant position to magically appear on a job board.
Right.
Anyone who deeply understands their company's daily operational bottlenecks can simply do this themselves.
You just strategically use Fable 5 to build simple, low-risk automations.
You quietly measure the hard data over a full month. Then, you formally pitch an entirely new, highly valuable role from the inside.
You actively build the career you want by proving undeniable mathematical value first. I want to leave you with a specific, actionable challenge today.
It's something you can literally do the second you sit at your desk.
Look at your own daily task list tomorrow morning. Look closely at the tedious things you do repeatedly without even thinking. Identify just one repetitive, low-risk chore you can safely test an automation on.
Find that one small, annoying workflow and just start experimenting. Build your mountain of evidence brick by brick.
2-sec silence. Going through all of this leaves me with a calm, lingering philosophical question. We're watching a fundamental shift in how human work is managed and valued.
The tools to build extreme efficiency are literally in everyone's hands right now.
If every single employee starts building and proving their own bespoke AI automations, does the traditional manager role eventually just evolve into an automation curator? Outro music?